Okay, so I had to film this disclaimer video before you watch this current video that's taken me over 2 days to film. To get to the point of the video, I'm trying to test a T2 unsupported Mac with Tahoe, and it doesn't go well. And we'll quickly explain why. And I'm going to leave the original video the way it is. And that's needless to say is the only good T2 is this T2. And yes, this is actually still a sealed laser disc, but still, the only good T2 is this T2. T2s and Macs suck. And you can ask Colin Mister. They do suck. They, even when they're disabled, they're still controlling the whole computer and still verifying things. So even though you might be able to get away with like Windows or Linux, unsupported Windows and Linux, you can't get away with unsupported macOS. And I learned that the hard way. So yeah, stick around and let's get on with the video. Hello, Greg Hrutkay of Hrutkay Mods, and welcome to this episode where we try to answer the biggest question on everyone's mind. What makes a T2 Mac that isn't supported not run OCLP? This won't run OCLP, but I think I can make it work. The thing is, the T2 chip prevents you from booting from non-authorized OSs, which OCLP happens to be one. As we can see here, it is literally a 2018 Mac Mini. This is the max spec minus 10 gigabit Ethernet, and it's got 1 terabyte of storage in it. But it's got everything else. I didn't max out the RAM. It's got 16 gigs in it. It can go up to 64, and I haven't yet. But my biggest question is, what is preventing you from actually trying to run OCLP? And the first question will be answered by showing you what I did to make the T2 chip disable itself. I don't know if it's going to make a difference, because I hear rumors like macOS still uses T2 no matter what, even if it is disabled. And I honestly don't know if that's the case or not. But I want to see, so let's find out. Let's go. So first you've got to disable the T2 chip. This is the same steps for any other T2 chip Mac. And to do that, you need to boot into the recovery partition by holding Command R, or even going into the Internet recovery by holding Command, I can't remember. But yeah, it's... As long as you're in a recovery, you can disable the T2 chip by going up to Utilities, Startup Security Utility right here, and then authorizing it. Once you're in here, you click No Security, and it'll allow booting from external or removable media, and that disables your T2 chip technically. But, yeah, I don't know if it's going to make a difference, so we will find out. She sneezed. So I am downloading OCLP's latest version, which is 2.4. I don't really know what it's going to do, but we will install it real quick and go from there. All right, we are officially in the OpenCore Legacy Patcher. As we can see, everything's grayed out because this is a supported model. But there is an option in settings that I don't know if it will make a difference. This may actually just defeat the purpose of even trying to run this video. But if I go over to Allow Native Models, this option should only be used if your Mac... Yes. Then hit Return. And now we have the option to build and install OpenCore. We'll install that to the disk. And let's see what happens. Now I should, in theory, be able to boot into OpenCore by holding an Option. Maybe. Yeah, there it is. It says Windows on it. That's weird. Windows. And then boot back into here. Now this is in OpenCore mode, which in theory means that we should be able to install whatever we want. But I don't know if it's going to make a difference, so we'll find out. Now we are fully booted back up here. If we go over to OpenCore again. Yeah, it's in there. It's on OpenCore now. So in theory, this should take all the checks out of everything, which means we might be able to run macOS 26 now, and it might actually work. I don't know if it will, but we will find out. We are downloading the Tahoe beta off of Mr. Macintosh's website. Links will be in the description below. And we'll see what happens when it runs. Okay, so that warning earlier about the natively supported systems, that would be like if I was trying to run High Sierra on this Mac Mini, which it can't do. For later unsupported OSs that it officially doesn't know about yet, I don't know if that's the case. So let's go to install macOS beta and see what happens. Not compatible with this Mac. And we know the answer now. It won't work this way. Doesn't mean it won't work, though. Let's try to make a bootable drive and see if it will take it that way. Now, before you ask why I didn't try the OTA update, it won't even load it because it knows it's not a supported Mac. So that's why. The external drive is about finished, as we can see here, and we will try to boot up onto that. If that doesn't work, I've got one more idea. All right, let's see what happens when you hit install macOS beta. It does nothing. Well, crap. All right, last idea. Target disk mode into a supported Mac drive and see what happens. Now I remember that File Vault was enabled, which means I have to reinstall macOS on my Mac Pro. Yay. So we have the Mac Pro booted back up into Tahoe on the setup menu. Let's see if we can get it to boot on the Mac Mini. Alright, the target disk mode is showing up on the Mac Mini. Let's see what happens when we try to go into OCLP again. OCLP doesn't allow external drive booting. That's annoying. Alright, we have the Mini in target disk mode now, and I'm going to try to install the OS onto the Mini, which I have a feeling it's not going to do. And this is going swimmingly well. Well, how about that? It's enabled File Vault on this also, and ignore that. That's just burn-in that's temporary on this stupid monitor. Yeah, I love that Apple disabled that option. You can't do that anymore. Well, I'm out of ideas, I think. So I've got two more ideas. One, we remove the trusted platform support list off the installer and see if it will boot. And two, we use a non-T2 Mac with Sequoia or Tahoe on it and see if that will boot that way. Either way, I'm not really sure, and the Mac Mini just suddenly stopped booting. Great. All right, we've got the 2012 Mini here running Mavericks. I'm going to wipe the Mavericks drive because I don't need it. And we're going to install the beta onto it if it's got USB support, which I have a feeling it won't. Yeah. And we've run into our first problem. I'm going to have to probably install this off of Ventura on my other Mac Mini that's running Ventura right now. Because, yeah, it still doesn't work with the installer. This is the 2.6 late 2012 with a dying hard drive screaming in pain. This is going to take a while. Well, let's tempt fate again. continue. Well, I decided to take a nap and ended up sleeping for 14 hours, roughly. We do have Tahoe on the 2012 Mini, and as we can see here, it's very functional. It's actually still loading because it's on a hard drive, and Tahoe isn't made for a hard drive. I don't think any Mac that is supported by Tahoe has a hard drive, which is probably why it's so slow. But it does work. As we can see here, we've got the pointer and all that stuff. But of course, we had to use a Thunderbolt dock to make it work. I'm going to now boot that into target disk mode, then hook it up to the 2018 Mac Mini and see what happens. And I'm not really sure what's going to happen, but I have learned from doing this that Tahoe will only install on these systems if you do it with the installer booted into OpenCore. So you have to be booted in the OS, and it bypasses the platform check. The bypass doesn't work if you're booting into the USB drive installer, and so that's the only way you can do it is with the installer in an OS, and it will bypass all the checks and allow you to install it. So, since we couldn't get that to work, now that there's no platform check on that, that might boot off of that. Maybe. We're going to find out. Alright, the 2012 is now booted into target disk mode. Let's get the 2018 running. Well, OCLP sees the drives. Let's boot it in real quick and make sure it can still read the drives. And we'll take it from there. Alright, we're booted up on the 2018. These are all the drives that I have partitioned onto the 2012. It's all showing up. So in theory, this should work. I'm having problems now getting OCLP to actually work on this thing. It refuses to boot anything. So we're going to quickly patch OCLP one more time just to see if it makes a difference. And then we're going to boot up and see what happens. So we're in the regular boot menu right now. And that is our Tahoe install. Let's see if it just tries to boot in the regular boot menu. I hear the hard drive activity. We'll let it sit for a second and see what happens. It hasn't errored out yet, and it's actually starting to boot. I'm actually shocked. You may not need OCLP, you just may need a functional install. We'll see. It looks like the system went into recovery. Of course it did. This update will take several minutes to complete, and the screen will turn off for up to a minute. I don't know what it's doing. We'll see what happens. After whatever update it did, it dumped me back into Sequoia, and I have some screen problems. It doesn't like T2 Max for some reason. One second. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to try to boot this again and see what happens. Let's try it in OpenCore this time. Enter here. Well, that's a good start. This is a lot more promising than before. We'll see what happens. So I'm booting it into verbose mode right now. And it just hangs right here, literally, as I start booting it up. Something about the Ethernet, I think. I don't know. I'm back in the regular boot menu. Let's try this again and see if it requires an update this time. Okay, well that's actually a good sign because now I know OCLP is actually doing something. Well, I didn't even boot into OpenCore, and OCLP detects the 2012 bootloader on the other system. So I ran a patch on that. Maybe that will make a difference. And it looks like OCLP refuses to boot up when it's actually patched properly. So let's patch this with the most powerful, most recent supported OCLP Mac and see if that makes a difference. Alright, we have it flashed to a 2017 iMac now. Let's see if that makes any difference. It doesn't like the 2017 iMac flash. I'm going to try a 2014 Mac Mini. I mean, it's 4 years off. We'll see how that goes. I have it now flashed to a 2017 MacBook Pro because I figured something closer in age would probably be better. And it's trying to boot again. Yeah, as I figured, I think this is a platform support issue. Seems to be loading up, so I'm not really sure what's going on. We'll try this on something that's not T2 supported. That might be T1 supported. That might be the issue. All right, we are flashed to a non-T-chip Mac, and now we can try it again. So guys, I think this would actually work, but it keeps giving the same platform panic, and I'm running out of ideas. So, yeah. It does detect it's a Mac Mini. That doesn't help the situation. I did it! I got it to boot on the 2012. It is ridiculous to think that the T2 will probably run this totally fine. In fact, I did get it to pop up on the screen one time, I think. I'm really not sure, honestly. But I swear it had USB control, which this, of course, doesn't. I plugged into the Thunderbolt dock. But I've come to the conclusion that I don't think it's doable quite yet, but it will be soon. And now I've kind of gotten to the point where I don't know if I should release this video or not. Because, well, it's really disappointing to say the least. Because I only could get it to work on a system from 2012 and not the system from 2018 I actually wanted to get it to work on. So, yeah, it's really ridiculous thinking that all Mac Minis that can run OCLP can run this OS, but the 2018 that they just dropped can't. And it's really annoying. I've gotten through a lot of kernel panics. I've gotten further with some patches than others. I just can't get it to boot up. I don't know if it's the T2 timing it out or if the OS is detecting the system. And every time I spoof it, it refuses to get past some kind of error. I can't remember right off. I think it's some kind of I/O error. So, yeah, I'm really not sure what to do. And I'm kind of disappointed. But there's hope. I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. I'm pretty sure it's going to work. And I have this weird feeling it's going to be an easy patch once they figure it out. So, yeah. And for everyone that was asking about the 2013 iMac and why I didn't try to patch it, this is why. Because you really can't yet. But hopefully they'll have a new patch out for it very soon. It's just neat that it runs. So my state on Tahoe on unsupported T2, I actually don't think it will be hard for OpenCore to make it work. I actually got it almost there multiple times. I don't think it's the T2 locking it out. I'm just really not sure what's causing it to keep it from booting onto this system here, which it should boot. Because I've disabled every security feature. It's gotten halfway there multiple times booting up. It just refuses to boot it. Which sucks, because I really would like to get it to work. But I only know so much. And the OCLP team, I'm wishing you the best luck. I don't understand why the original MacBook Airs that got dropped last year haven't been supported yet. There's rumors it's T2 support. If you don't need T2 to run the OS, just bypass the T2. Disable it. It should, in theory, work. And I don't know why. It feels like someone hasn't tried that yet. I'm sure they have, though. So I don't know why it refuses to boot up. And it's really upsetting because I'd like to get it to work. especially on this system because it's more than capable probably. The main reason why I think they disabled support for it was because it's got Intel UHD graphics, and the acceleration probably just doesn't work right with it. It's not a very powerful integrated GPU. So, yeah, it's unfortunate, but we did get to play around, experiment, and try to make it work. And I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I wasn't really thinking about releasing it after I couldn't get it to work, but yeah, what the heck. This is still an interesting video, and I thought you guys might want to watch it. So, yeah, that's the end of today's video. Don't forget I have a Patreon and memberships if you'd like to support me. And you know how to do all that. And please like and subscribe. And this has been a Hrutkay Mods video.
macOS contains.
All right, we have the
VoiceOver.
Okay, you can shut up now.
How to use VoiceOver.
Yeah.
Press Command F5 to turn it on and set up your Mac.
Shut up.
If you would like to learn how to use VoiceOver to set up your Mac.
Thank you.
VoiceOver on. Set the VoiceOver modifier. On each page of this tutorial, you'll learn a new VoiceOver command. VoiceOver may be restricted on some
Shut up!
Practicing the gesture.
Jeez.
Performing it now in window VoiceOver off.
All right. So we have the Mac Pro booted back.